Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Raw Online Report. An excellent guest today. I've been waiting a little while to talk to this guy. He is the coach of such outstanding athletes as Urs Kalecinski, William Bonac, Wesley Vissers, Nathan DeAsha, Juliana Mota, Mohammed Foda, Martin Fitzwater. Just a few of many, many awesome athletes. They call him the Boss of Outlaw. Please welcome all the way from Austria, Stefan Kienzl. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, a little bit tired. Exciting times now. The European shows, I would say, are in the middle. So it's traveling nearly about every week, getting to the shows and supporting the people.
Yeah, you made an interesting comment a couple months ago on Fuad's podcast, predicting how competitive these Euro shows were going to be. You said it's going to be carnage, and that's exactly what it's turning out to be. Man, we'll talk about that in a little while. But first of all, the nickname Boss of Outlaw, I found out through that podcast of Fuad, it was a time when there were different factions between the federations. Europe has always had a lot of big federations kind of at the same time. Unlike the U.S., we're kind of a monopoly. But I thought there was only one big split in 2017 when IFBB split into Pro League and Elite. But this actually, your nickname predates that. There was a split like years before that. What happened?
Yeah, it was the split 2009. Because I don't know, the old ones maybe remember Paul. I think Paul Duac was his name. He was the Asian president of the amateur IFBB. And in 2009, he and Axel Bauer, who was the financial president of the European IFBB and general secretary, split up into the WBF. I have some FFs and some Bs and some Ws, whatever. So back then they built that federation, and as Axel was my president since day one in the IFBB, I stayed at his side, and the IFBB amateur turned to the one side, and IFBB amateur went where they are. And in Europe, I don't know how it was in the States, but in Europe it was very, very restricted. If you have been friend with a person who was not part of the federation, or if you supported people which were not part of the federation, people didn't like to see you. Wow. So I was a little bit outlaw, and that's why the name comes from. So actually, it goes back to 2009.
Wow. So let's go back even further. Everyone's got their story of how they became interested in bodybuilding. How did you come to this crazy sport industry that we love, bodybuilding?
It's actually very, very, very interesting, because I never was driven like the most people by posters of their heroes, or Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone or whatever. I come out of a music family, but let's say I was the black sheep of them. I turned into black and death metal, not the classical one. And I lived the life of a rock and roll guy and got terribly fat. I was very sporty as a teenager, because I was professional driving bicycle. Wow. But then within the rock and roll time, I just did drink beer, played metal, and do whatever you do in that times. So I got a little bit of fat, and my brother gave me as a present a yearly membership for a gym. Huh. At that time, I was studying medicine. I was nearly in the middle of the study. Yeah. And it was really like magic. I entered the gym and grabbed my first time the dumbbells and was infected by the virus. So it catched me extremely. The thing is, how it is called in English. When you are not very talented in movement, when you always run anything, or when you always fell down. What's the word?
Uncoordinated?
Yeah, something like that. But in bodybuilding, where you have predetermined ways of movement, that was very easy for me, and that was very fast to understand for me. So probably I had a little bit of talent for it, because my strength went up very, very fast. Progression was very fast. So I competed, I think, 2.5 years after I started training. But soon I had to recognize that because of my health issues I'm born with, there are several ones. I'm not meant to get a bodybuilder in the way I wanted to be. So the last real competition was the World Championship 2006, where I competed in classic bodybuilding, and I got home and had a terrible car crash.
Oh my God!
So I was out of the car, and my friend back then picked me up every day from home and drove me to the gym and back home. And for that, I started to coach him or help him for the first show, and that was actually the starting point of me as a coach, because I saw that even if I can't do the sport actively as a bodybuilder, I still can keep the passion for it. And can stay in that industry. And actually, yeah, that's until now, nearly 20 years after.
Wow. Yeah, I was. It was interesting to hear that you didn't start coaching. A lot of people now get into coaching for the money. They see it as a financial opportunity. You did it basically for free for years because you had your own business. You opened up your own.
Yes.
I think you still have. You have a sports therapy
clinic? Yeah, yes, exactly. Sports therapy clinic we are specialized in. We opened that 2009, I think. Yes, 2009. So in the beginning, I just did it actually for the love of the sport. I never had to earn money for it, and I never thought that it would get that way, because, as I said before, our possibilities, or my possibilities back then, were clearly limited. There was actually for me no way to place my food in the IFBB professional league, because I was the outlaw and not allowed to do anything there. And that luckily turned in 2017 when the world turned for me, and I think also for many other peoples, into good, concerning the qualification processes, concerning the worldwide opening of the federation.
So you think that's why for so many years the big name coaches were all either American or lived in America, guys like Chad Nichols, Hani,
yes,
Castillo, Farah, and now after the split we started seeing names like your name, Patrick Tour, Mauro Sassi, Abdullah, a lot of guys who are maybe working with these other federations. And now that it's the opportunities opened up, that we see, like I never would have heard of you as good as you are unless these political things had shifted.
I think that's one of the parts, but to be fair, Patrick have been successful long before the split. So he is long in the federation. But I think one of the main things why it also changes, not only because of the fight of the federation, it's because the number of pros which come out of the country. So imagine at the USA's or in America, top 2 of the nationals get pro in every class.
Yes.
When you have been out of Europe, just the overall winner of the world championship, which has been once a year, got pro. So the chance to be coach of that person was very close. That's the third thing. And then, with one good athlete, you won't reach any, I would say, attention of the bodybuilding community. So you need several ones. So actually for guys of Europe or from the rest of the world, it was just very tough and very hard to get recognition, because we didn't have the chance to place our people in the pro league. That turned better when it started to be. That was actually the time Patrick came into fame with the Arnold Classics.
Yep.
When because he had Lucas Weiler made a pro, he had Nicolas Bouliot made a pro, then the incredible Swiss guy who died a few years ago. I forget his Sandro Hofer.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sandro Hofer made a pro, and that was his first chance to get recognized in the States because of the Arnold Classic. And that got even bigger when the split up of the federation have been with the NPC worldwide.
Yeah. Honestly, I was embarrassed at how many people were turning pro in the US and the quality of the pros that we were putting out. Then I would go to like the Arnold Amateur and see all these fantastic guys from Europe, from the Middle East, from Asia that were way better than these guys and girls turning pro here, but they were still fighting to get a pro card. So I'm glad
because just the overall winner.
Right. I mean, think about the United Kingdom. For many, many years, one man walked away from that British Championships as a pro, and they only had one pro qualifier a year. In the US, we were cranking out, I don't know, 20 open bodybuilding pros a year.
But on the other hand, think about those legions which came out of the UK qualification process. Dorian Yates, Flex Lewis, Sasan Herati, Nathan DeAsha, Luke Sando, all of those heroes from the UK we had, including, for example, Flex and Yates, one of the most successful guys ever, came out of that hard and tough qualification process.
I mean, it's sort of, in a way, what you're saying is true, because if you were good enough to turn pro in the UK or as any European, you were probably going to be a very top pro, whereas we had people turning pro were never going to make top 10 in a pro show. No prayer. They didn't have it. That's one thing that really struck me in the Fouad interview. Coaches, we have so many coaches now. Everyone's a coach. There's kids in my gym who are 20 years old. They're coaching. They've done like one contest, and they will encourage everyone to compete and keep competing and keep going for their pro card because they just want their money. And I know that listening to you will be straight up blunt, honest with people and say, you don't have it. You don't have the genetics. I don't want to see you hurting yourself, taking all these PEDs for years and years and doing nothing but damaging your health and spending money. How can you, I guess you can afford to be so honest because you have so many clients and you don't need the money, but what drives you to be so honest when so many other coaches will straight up lie to people?
I think the first thing is my how I am as a person, as actually an autistic person. I being straightforward, even if it's sometimes rude or quite hard, is one of my personalities. So that isn't that tough for me. Second thing is I have that huge medical background, so I really know what is going on behind the curtain and what is happening with the body. And then when you do it that long as me, so 20 years, I at least think, even if I'm wrong sometimes, which is totally okay, I at least think I know what is possible. And for me and for myself and for my inner peace, actually, it's better for me psychologically to say one more time, please don't do it. It won't bring you to where you want to be and be wrong, but probably save the life, save the person. And what is very important for me, sounds a little bit selfish. When I stand up in the morning, I need to have a good feeling.
Yeah. Well, clear conscience.
I think that are the main reasons.
Yeah, no, I commend you for that. I mean, I remember I had a question or comment on one of my videos from someone. They said, well, my genetics aren't great. Could I take tons and tons and tons of drugs just to turn pro? And then I could use a smaller amount. I said, if it's going to take you that many drugs, that amount of drugs just to turn pro, you really think you're going to be able to, you're going to have the genetics? And, there's just a lot of delusional people that come to our sport, unfortunately.
And also, actually, to go a little bit fast forward, I think it's good that we have so many pro qualifiers and so many pros. I really don't think that is a bad thing, because it is a bigger amount. There are more shows. There are more money in the industry. Everything is getting bigger, and everybody of us at a certain point benefits from it.
Sure. Sure.
But the people or the bodybuilders by themselves, they really need to ask themselves if their passion for the sport is the main reason they are doing it, or just turning pro. Because on the other hand, just turning pro will be nothing. It isn't a miracle like in the 90s. Where you are one of the best of the world. When you now turn pro, you are not one of the best of the world. That's very, very, very clear. You are one of, I have no idea how many thousands.
Well,
which isn't actually a bad thing, but it isn't something special.
Well, you grew up with the magazine, so you can remember this. Muscle Mag International, the late Bob Kennedy, every issue they had a page with pro rankings. Do you remember that? And
yeah, I can remember.
All the male and female pros in the world were on one page, ranked first to, first place was usually the current Mr. Olympia, Ms. Olympia, and they could fit it all on one page. You'd need like a whole magazine now, I think, if you're going to put all the pros. But, I agree with you. If we didn't have all these pros and all these divisions, the sport would have died out. They wouldn't have been able to sustain itself financially. So we can't complain, or you and I wouldn't be here talking to each other right now, right?
Actually, and still, it's something which makes people happy and gives them a possibility to fulfill their dreams, which is totally positive. But to come back on the topic we had before, people really need to know what risks or whatever they take on themselves to reach a specific goal. And as you said, if somebody asks you, when I take so much and I just get pro, I need to say the first thing is it probably won't make you a pro. And when you are a pro, you're still not one of the best.
Right.
So,
yeah, I've heard that, you have you have your football and we have our football here. I've heard kids say, well, if a high school student football player needs to take a ton of steroids to be able to get into an NCAA college where you might be scouted by the NFL, you're never going to be good enough to be in the NFL. If it took you all that abuse of your body just to get to that level. Yeah. And, you had a great, I've heard the term we've all heard hyper responder, which is obviously people that respond very well to more moderate amounts of drugs than other people. That's a real thing. But you brought up something in the Fouad interview that I don't think a lot of people even ever occurs to them, called hyper-tolerators. There are some people, I can actually count myself as one of these through confirmed blood work over 20 years of steroid use. I was a hyper-tolerator. I was never a hyper-responder, but my blood pressure never went up. My lipids never went up too bad, even on pretty high doses. But you say that's like the magic combination. The physical, obviously you need the muscle, the structure, the muscle bellies, things like that. You need to be a hyper responder, but explain why it's also very important to be a hyper tolerator.
And the point is, to be dominant on stage, to do that for several years, I think everybody will agree you need to stay healthy. Even on short term, if you are totally smacked, you won't display a fresh, sparkling physique on stage. You will be beaten down. So in first instance, being not healthy will affect your actual look. And the second thing is, being not healthy will probably kill you, which is the end result. But you also won't be able to progress as much. For example, if your liver enzymes are always sky high, you will seriously have problems to do all the processes the liver has to do for you, like producing growth factors and so on. If you're because of constantly overfeeding, your pancreas enzymes are always sky high. You won't have the capacity to digest your nutrition as high as you should be and in the quality you should be. If you're overdoing steroids or insulin or things which lower your insulin sensitivity, you won't have the capacity to grow anymore. Even in the other hand, you won't have the capacity to shred your fat anymore because your body isn't responding. So it will directly affect your look on stage. And secondary, it will directly your possibility of improving. Even if you respond good on steroids, if you can tolerate it, you will go in a dead spot and you will just be loose because you won't have any progression anymore.
Yeah, great explanation. I look at someone like Dexter Jackson, who had a career of over 20 years as a top pro in the IFBB Pro League. And that's someone I've never talked to him about his doses, but he must be a hyper responder and a hyper tolerator, because nobody could be on high doses of steroids with a lot of health problems for 20 years. It's impossible. He would have been dead or would have been hospitalized. So.
But with Dexter, a third very, very important factor came to game. I think he was one and maybe also one of the best in knowing when it's time to pull back. when having a rest, when not pushing forward. I think the quality of Dexter Jackson over so many years, which just is unbelievable. No real injuries, never a problem. A body which really never fades and never looked old, even in his 50s.
Yeah.
that also needs so much, I would say, sports intelligence to know when it is time to rest and step back. And the combination of hyper-responder, hyper-tolerator, and the sports intelligence, respecting rest and pulling back and know when it's important to hit the throttle, but also when it's going to lose the throttle is very important. And for me, as you also said, Dexter is concerning that all over one of the greatest ever existed.
Right on. All right, let's look at a couple of your athletes, and I'm going to put up the videos. So keep an eye on your microphone if you would, Stefan.
I do.
Let's start with. You hear me? We're good. So this is William Bonac. Yeah, this was the recent victory that he had at the Pro show. So it was interesting that he had, most guys who go away, they leave competing for over a year, and especially he's over 40 years old. They don't. It's not a successful comeback. It's usually they come back and they look much worse, and that's the end of them. How did you know that he was going to be able to come back? It
was very interesting, and it was magic because I've always have been a William fan. I've been a William fan when he was 212, when he stepped to the Open. I have seen him every time when he competed in Prague. I have seen all of his 2 classic wins live. So you can imagine I was a big fan. And it was December last year when I got a message, "Hi, my name is William," which was super funny. and he said, I lost a little bit my drive. I didn't train a lot. I stepped back from the sport, didn't know if I want to compete anymore. But I saw what you have done with Nathan, and that was inspiring me. And I want to try to get back. Then I said, I have no idea. Show me pictures and take a look how you are. And he sent me pictures, and the first one really were, okay, you saw that he had some rest. Let's say it like that. But as I knew that he will have special genetics, no doubt about that. He wouldn't have been there if he wouldn't be one of a million, Right. I was immediately ready to get the job done. For sure, other people were saying to me, "No, don't do it. He's probably done." But me as a person, as a character, I always want to see what is possible. And actually, his body changed so incredibly fast that I had no doubt that he would come.
So do you, as far as his potential, you had a pretty short amount of time to work with him, especially where he had been away from the stage. Are you confident that heading into Olympia, because we're speaking at the very end of June, Olympia is not till October. How much better do you think you can get his look, his overall stage package by the time we get to Olympia?
I think we still can. The condition was very good. I think we still can get it a little bit better. He had some digestion problem. That's why the peaking was totally different as any other thing I've ever done before. Starting carving up a week out, for example, which really was a funny process, but it went out very, very well. William is an incredible person when it comes to working on fine details in posing, and we are totally the same minded. We always strive for perfection. We know that we have to change some poses. We take Tyler's feedback deeply serious from the recap video, and we especially want to get those points better, which Tyler said. But on the other hand, it's just 16 weeks or now 15 weeks to the Olympia. But from December to now, it wasn't also very long. So actually, every week of constant work we have makes us 1 week better. So I'm very, very optimistic that the package can even be better as the package as the M-Pro, which really was mind-blowing, especially at the first moment he came out on stage and did his individual presentation.
Well, great job with him. Now let's turn to Wesley Vissers. If you look at your microphone. Yeah, okay. So Wesley, I didn't even have him in my predictions for top 5, I don't think, for that Arnold Classic. Neither did Giles. I love the guy's physique, but I just never really seen him nail everything on show day. What did you guys do differently? Because this was a fantastic version of Wesley.
Actually, the story is a little bit longer. We work now together since, I think, 3 years, and he was constantly improving from show to show. I think I would say the recovery or the eye we had on rest and just not putting too much stress on him between the Olympia and the Arnolds made a huge step for him forward in his self-confidence, and also in I would say the way he displays his physique. For me, the psychological work within coaching is a very important one. And I brought him really to a winner's mentality and to a setup that he is ready to win every big show. And I think the second thing is also at the Olympia, you have the problem that there are so many competitors and that you have that first and second call-out structure. And they never placed Wesley next to, I would say, Ramon, Urs, or even Chris. At the Arnolds, I know he will straight get first call out, and then everything could be possible because he was compared the first time to them. One point, for example, is everyone always said Leslie has small legs, which is total bullshit. At the time he was standing next to Ramon, you saw that he even had bigger quads and better legs than him from the front. And that was just so, he had a stamp on his head, for example, for having bad legs, which actually he didn't have the last 2 years. So it's always how they place you and how they stand to you. And it was such a relief and so good to see that they gave him the chance to stand next to Urs and stand next to Ramon, because you see, he's very comparable in muscle size and density to them. Actually, he was a little bit better as the Olympia, but there was not that big difference, which it has been in placing, because he always had been extremely good, very well balanced. He has a special kind of physique, but Wesley, for me, always had been a contender for the winning spot. Actually, the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought he could have done better, but now he's beaten Ramon, who's been second place. He's beaten Urs, the third place guy, a couple times. So he's the #1 contender, the #1 challenger to Chris Bumstead this year. They have sort of similar height, width, mass. What would it take for Wesley to beat Chris Bumstead this year?
I think classic and man physique are the two most competitive divisions in the IFBB Pro League. The names you called right now, they have total different physiques. Total. Everyone has different strength than the other. Urs has his incredible flowing physique. His tiny, tiny joints with those round legs, perfect lower body, huge chest, shoulders, very, very well balanced. We have Ramon with his very short waist, with his bubbly muscle, with his high density. We have Wesley with his incredible bone structure, his very classical posing. I would say the best upper back, shoulder, arm package in the whole classic physique league, because they are so fine and such a thin, very perfect skin. And we have Chris, who has the perfect bone structure, but certain muscle groups are aesthetically not that pleasing. For example, legs or even the arms. So we have people with very, very different strengths and very, very different also mistakes. So in my opinion, it's just a battle of them, and every one of them can win. So I wouldn't give a prediction at all when it comes to that. Everybody needs to come to his personal best, but in the end, it's a decision of the judges on that day which type of physique they like best, because actually they are very, very hard to compare with the same aspects. If you take a look at the when you say, okay, classic bodybuilding, which actually isn't the case, because Tyler clearly said that, it's just about the bone structure, you could do an option. if you take a look at just the mass, you could go to an option, but it's everything combined. And and because of it, why it's everything combined, it's very hard to give a prediction if all do their personal best. For me, everybody can win. And even there is Brian, never count out Brian. He won the Olympia 2 times. He has maybe he has a little bit of problems upper to lower body, but still his muscle density and his muscle quality is outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, he's never placed lower than 4th since after the first Olympia he did in 2016. So yeah, you're right. We always forget about
which is actually incredible, because honestly, you really have to say every one of those top 5 guys can be a winner.
Yeah.
And I really get upset after the Olympia when they say, you just got 4th or you just got 3rd, your career is over. People are just talking bullshit. They have no idea which level those guys have. And as you said, when you are able to keep that level, you're fucking one of the greatest.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, let's keep an eye on your microphone, because I want to talk about this guy.
Yeah.
Unmic yourself. Urs Kalecinski, the Miracle Bear. You've done a phenomenal job coaching Urs these past few years. He's won some shows. He's been very high at the Olympia for several years in a row, but now everybody wants him to go open. Where do you stand on that?
There's actually not one single point which would he would benefit from going to open. We still have room in the weight cap. What people also don't know is how much quality you need to bring with those top 5 spots on the stage. In my opinion, there's also a huge gap between the top 5 and the people who come after concerning muscle density, muscle quality, condition, and all of that stuff. It's the same. They always say to Chris, he can go open. For sure, Chris also looks very, very, very good with 5 to 6 kilo over stage weight. But it's actually not the quality you would have to win in the classic physique. But on the other hand, you could compete it open. But then you would get the top 5, top 6, or whatever spot at the normal show and no chance of getting a top 10 or top 15 at Olympia. So for me, there is no sense in doing that if you can be or fighting for being one of the best in a division, to just hop into another division because it might be the more comfortable way, but still you don't want to do the work which is necessary to get the best in the division you're already competing. And actually, as I said, there is still very good room for that young boy to improve. People always forget Urs is 26 years old. He is pro since 3 years. In that 3 years, he has constantly been top 5 in the Olympia, 2nd and 3rd at the Arnolds. But it's just 3 fucking years.
I know, and I mean he's still at the very top. Just because he's not winning the Olympia doesn't mean he sucks. He should leave the division. I think it's just more people. Everybody wants the classic guys to go open because they want to see what they look like bigger, but they're not real. Even like Bumstead. Bumstead's never going to be Mr. Olympia. I don't care what they say. No way. Why would he do that to himself? Risk his health to put another 30 pounds of muscle. That's what he would need. He would need another 30 pounds of muscle to be competitive at Open Olympia. And that's the point. He's the most successful athlete in our sport right now. People are idiots.
That's the point. It's not staying at the weight they are right now, and then they would be competitive as an open bodybuilder. Most of them need at least 20 pounds to be successful as an open bodybuilder.
Right. So, I mean, Urs, prime example. Urs looks amazing. Yeah, he could have bigger arms, maybe a thicker back, but he looks amazing.
We are on it.
For him to be open would be, he'd have to be, at least 30 pounds more muscle on him, at least. I don't know. Let's move on to another one of your athletes. Watch your microphone. Click. And this is Martin Fitzwater, the Martian. So you did a great job with him in Detroit, but I was there in New York, and he looked much better, I thought, in New York. First of all, did you guys plan all along to do both shows?
Yeah, we planned because Actually, the first planning was to do 3 or even 4 shows because we didn't knew that that it would be a straight win in Detroit. After Detroit, I said, okay, let's go to recovery and having just that one show. Then he said he really wants to stand next to Nick. And I also thought that that will be a good idea because, you know, okay, he won Detroit. Just Vitaly was there. Honestly, it was a good battle with Vitaly. But if you want to bring yourself in the top 5 spot of an Olympia or a top 8 spot at the Olympia, in my opinion, sports tactic wise, you need to be seen with one of the champs before. Yeah. So for me, that was a very, very, very good idea. And the only thing we wanted, or which was for sure we wanted to win. And actually, I would say it was close. So if Martin would have won, nobody could have argued. And that was exactly the plan, to push Nick and to see, oh, there is a new guy coming, which brings absolutely everything. And we just delivered.
Yeah, fantastic job. One final clip. So watch your microphone one last time. Yeah. Oh, we're good. Oh, no, you have to unmic. So this is last weekend in Italy, Nathan versus Beirut. You know, Nathan, the guy who tore both biceps.
Yes.
They came back. How long was this your first show? No, you worked with Nathan on his wins last year. No.
Yeah. It was the story. He after the biceps tears, he was reaching out to me to bring him back. We did that last year with 2 wins. 1 win in Italy, 1 win in France, 2nd place in Alicante, 4th place Romania, and 4th place in Prague. So we did a hell of a job last year. And that was now our first show for this season, and I'm absolutely super happy with everything. You don't see it exactly that good on that overlighted video, but live or also other footage was brilliant. The package he brought was bursting full. It was a condition which really is very, very good for Nathan. He will never be the thinnest skin guy on stage, but we played all his good points absolutely perfectly. And as you see on the stage, he's just a machine. He is first in pose. He holds it. He has no problem with fighting. He has no problems with breathing or anything else. If you compare now the chest fullness, or as he say, he wants one more round. And that for me is bodybuilding. And it was, in my opinion, a very short, very, very, very close decision. Beru's better bone structure, better maybe with little thinner skin, but concerning fullness, overall muscle mass, density, Nathan was just on point.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking Nathan was going to pick up an easy win. I don't know who else is in the show, but for Portugal Pro, the Big Man Evolution weekend, I heard now that William Bonac is doing that show too. So now you're going to have 2 of the very top. That's probably going to be our top 2. I don't know who else is doing it, but very, very likely you're going to have the top 2 guys in that show. You know, and I've heard you in other interviews. It's just like Hani. Hani had Hadi and Derek Lunsford. You don't favor any client. You try to bring each guy in at their best. I mean, but is it tough when you have 2 guys like that who are both fighting for that win?
For sure it's tough because you don't want to do a mistake, but tough things makes me happy. So that's why I stand up in the morning and having fun with the things you do. And as I said before in the classic bodybuilding, I must take sure that everybody is on his personal best, because in the end of the day, bodybuilding is done by a subjective decision I always will respect. And the body type and the kind of physique the judges like more on that day will be the one who wins. And that one of my guys wins, I need to be sure that all of them are in absolutely perfect spot.
And you yourself have been a judge in the past, so you know exactly how difficult it is and how close these things can be. Yeah.
And in the end of the day, it's always, I was a judge for about 7 years, I think 6 or 7 years. And you judge objectively on muscle mass and on objective things. But when it is a high level and a high level, taste will decide.
Yeah, I mean it's subjective. At the end of the day, it's a matter of opinion. I got a final question for you because you've been very generous with your time and you have an appointment coming up. But how does it feel as someone, I know you don't like the spotlight, you don't hype yourself up, toot your own horn, as we say in the U.S., but how does it feel? It has to be a good feeling that when somebody leaves a coach, immediately your name comes up. Like when Samson left Milos, everyone's like, he should go to Boss of Outlaw, or maybe he'll go to Boss of Outlaw. When Quentin left his coach, Quint Beastwood, same thing. He should go to Boss of Outlaw. And now, yesterday, we saw this all over Instagram. Brandon Curry and Abdullah Al-Otabi are no longer going to be working together. I saw a lot of comments saying, hopefully he goes to Stefan Kienzl, Boss of Outlaw. How does it feel knowing that people have that much confidence in how good you are as a coach?
Actually, I don't consume social media. When I consume social media, it's mostly about cars or racing, but not really bodybuilding. I even don't read my own comments because, you know, I can fall on the positive side, it can fall on the negative side, and everything on social media is just for such a short period of time. So that's actually nothing which drives my motivation or is doing anything to me. I really try to just stay off of it. Only thing for me is is the success of my athletes on stage. That's what I work for. That's also why I never post progress pics or pre-show pics. For me, everything is focused on concentrating on the moment on stage.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how I want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're the opposite of a lot of coaches. They want to be the star. They want to take all the credit. You know, they don't always put the health of their clients first. I could go on and on, but you know, these are the reasons I really have a lot of respect and admiration for you, Stefan. I'm glad we have people like you as one of the top coaches in the industry, because it makes me feel good about the direction our sport is going. And not that you're a new guy; you've been doing this a very long time, but you know, to have you as part of us, it's pretty awesome. So that's it. I want to remind everyone, please, if you like these shows, subscribe, like, share, ring that bell. Stefan, thank you so much for taking the time today. Doing an excellent job with so many clients. We just touched on a few of them. You have many guys and girls in various divisions that you're working very hard and making them their best. So congratulations, and wish you further success moving forward. All right.
Thank you. Wish me best luck for Portugal. Will be an intense weekend.
It's gonna be a long one. All right, guys. So thanks for watching Ron Line Report with this man, the Boss of Outlaw, Stefan Kienzl. See you next time.